we've done a lot of investigating about a lot of things. Every time somebody brings something up about our program, we investigate it. We do the best we can. There's nobody in this organization that wants to do anything that's not above board, and we don't want our players to do it either. That's not what the program's built on, and that's not what we're going to do. But as I said before, I made a statement. Don't ask me any more questions about this.
Just the timing of all this stuff coming out, how does that affect you personally and also the team?
You know, I've already answered it 3 times. So who else wants it? Can we get in a line and everybody ask the question? We will handle it appropriately. Bill made a statement. This is an administrative issue that our leadership will do a very, very good job of managing. If you want to talk about the Texas A&M game, I'll be glad to talk about it. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to coach our players, talk about our team.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
I enjoyed that. Nick keeping it all the way real. So, Skip, what impact, if any at all, will this have on Alabama, specifically this weekend, kind sir? If you'd like to talk about that.
I will. Stephen A. Smith, the video we just saw, that alone could distract the Alabama football team headed to College Station to play A&M in the game of the year on Saturday. There is no bigger control freak in college football coaching than Nick Saban, and I say that with nothing but respect. He sets the tone for that program. Bama goes as Saban goes. And in this case, he pretty much went off on the media. Local and national media gathered to ask him yesterday some about the game and some about this Yahoo story and the allegations. And I thought that last question was not a cheap shot, piling on kind of question. The whole idea of coach, how will the timing of this affect your football team, is a very legitimate question, because it's our question right now. That's the question of the moment. So that didn't set a very good tone for a very focused, disciplined football team, and those have been the 2 operative words all week. We have to stay focused, stay disciplined to defeat Johnny Manziel and not let him do to us what he did extemporaneously a year ago. So I do need to mention one thing here, and I don't want to make too much of this, but in the Yahoo story, among the allegations, the name of only one current Alabama player was mentioned. That's Ed Stinson, a starting defensive end, a senior, who I'm not sure where he'll be drafted. Maybe we can ask Mel Kiper when we have it on a little later in the show. But he will be a draft pick, probably a pretty high pick. And it was mentioned in the Yahoo story that the alleged runner for the agents set up a private flight on which Fluker was going to fly, and that Ed Stinson was scheduled to be on that flight, but for whatever reason did not make it. He's only mentioned, we don't know any more, don't want to make too big a deal of it, except the fact that this story isn't just about a Fluker who is now a San Diego Charger in pro football. It's not just about last year and years before. It did involve, however, remotely, one current player. So back to the distraction question, could he be distracted? Yeah. Could his friends on the team be upset about this? Sure they could. Could it chip away a little bit at that focus and discipline going into College Station? You better believe it could.
Or, Skip Bayless, it can tick them the heck off, including Saban. The players would follow suit, and they'd come out Saturday afternoon more tenacious than we ever imagined they'd be.
Can I get a roll?
Because if I would
get a roll,
roll tide.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. But let me be very clear. So yeah, it can affect them, but it can affect them for the positive. But the one thing that I think, or actually a couple of things I think need to be mentioned. First of all, the last question by that reporter was more than fair.
Yep.
But so was Nick Saban's reaction to everything. Why, Skip? Because clearly he came across as a bit cantankerous, very, very annoyed, upset by this. It's an administrative issue. It has to be handled. A former player, potentially a current player. We get all of that. But is there anybody that has called out these individuals, these kind of unsavory individuals permeating college sports more than Nick Saban. He's been calling them out for years. And basically what he's saying is something needs to be done, because when the NCAA can retroactively come back and go about the business of punishing a program because of something he may not have known about, nobody in his program may have known about, that's a problem. When you're talking about, all right, what if Fluke is found to be guilty in all of this, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation where a national championship has to be forfeited because he was supposed to be ineligible? You know how the NCAA works. If I'm Nick Saban, you put in all that hard work, and something that you didn't know about, that you have absolutely nothing to do with, ultimately ends up costing your program in that way, plus bringing unfair attention to you, I'd be just as livid as he came across. He is as real as it gets. He's the best coach in college football. And regardless of the fact that it was a fair question by that reporter, his reaction, his temperament, his tenor, everything about what we just showed is absolutely 1,000% on the money. He is right to be furious over all of this, because you can't, and it's just my opinion, obviously, but you can't convince me that that man, Nick Saban, would have anything to do with something like this. You just can't convince me of it. He can recruit who he wants. Anybody will come to Alabama in this day and age, all right? This man is a winner personified on the collegiate level, and he called these dudes pimps. Anybody that's trying to get at these college athletes, he's called them pimps. Standing before the media, he's looked us in the face and said that. His position is well known on these issues. What more is there for him to say? I don't blame him for showing his frustration. I don't blame him one bit.